What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Graveyard Sports Talk. Your host, CG. So, this is something that's on my mind, especially with this defensive coordinator search. We can get any other defense coordinator at any time as we want, but we're just not interviewing. We're just kind of like waiting on Robert Saleh. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like a handshake deal, the way it seems like. But seeing how things are changing right now, you're kind of scratching your head a little bit. Like, the Jaguars just fired Trent Baalke. So that indicates me something right there. So just because they have other candidates to interview, I'm kind of having a realization that it's not going to be Saleh after all. Maybe like yesterday, it kind of seemed like a good chance because Trent Baalke was scaring away head coach candidates, but now he's fired. Now it can be an intriguing opening for guys to go coach at Jacksonville. Before it wasn't because Trent Baalke scared him away. But now you're kind of like looking at plan B. The Niners just didn't do enough. They didn't do enough to look at other guys. I mean, you just want to put your eggs on Robert Saleh, which I can respect that, but you don't have a backup plan. So you have Brandon Staley as an in-house candidate. And the problem with this regime is we rarely hire outside candidates. I mean, the Steve Wilkes experience kind of shows otherwise, but we usually just hire in-house candidates because that's just how Kyle operates. He likes to have people he can trust within the organization. So this waiting game is going to take a while, but I have a gut feeling that it's going to be Brandon Staley. Why do I believe it's Brandon Staley? Because he just wasn't brought here just for nothing, bro. He wasn't just brought here to assist Nick Sorensen for nothing, dude. They knew what was at stake by having Nick Sorensen being the DC, bro. That's why they had Brandon Staley to be the assistant to him, just in case. It didn't work out with Nick Sorensen, but now they have that guy right there. So I think it's a matter of time before we get to Brandon Staley as the DC. A lot of us in the Niners community are already getting to that realization that it's going to be Brandon Staley. So let's get to the pros and cons of what we're going to expect with Brandon Staley. So he runs a 3-4 defense, which is like kind of like a Vic Fangio type of style of defense. So that does include a hybrid linebacker. So he's not quite a blitz heavy kind of guy. Only on third downs he might be. So that might be something that we have been lacking. You know, we've been lacking third down defense. So Brandon Staley has that formula of trying to create some pressure. So he might be able to fix some of those issues. But he's not a rah-rah guy. He's not quite a rah-rah guy. For some reason, he's just not. He's more of the kind of guy that just has ideas. I guess people would say he's kind of like the Kyle Shanahan of defense almost. But he's a different kind of guy. I don't think he would be the guy that can get the players fired up for some reason. I don't think he is. But his defense with the 2020 Rams shows otherwise. They were ranked number 1 from this team. So there's a lot of that positive side. Is he kind of made this Rams defense a legitimate top defense by far. But going to the Chargers, it's a whole different ball game by being a head coach. Because he had to manage a lot of the teams and all that stuff. So it's a little different. Maybe as a defensive coordinator, he might not be as bad as y'all think. His record as a head coach is 500, bro. So maybe we're overreacting. But I'm just saying, if it doesn't work out, this would probably be the final scapegoat for Kyle. Because there's no more excuses. If you're going to go with another DC the following season, if the team doesn't make the playoffs, you're pretty much in the hot seat, Kyle. That is your last one, bro. You got to make it count. You really do, Kyle. You have to make it count. And the reason why we're giving you a pass is because you took us to the Super Bowl the previous season. So that's kind of like, and then you're probably going to go get hired quickly, dude. So it would be not smart in our plan to do that. So I think this would probably be it for Kyle. If he doesn't get this DC right, then that's pretty much the last of his blame. The last scapegoat. It would have to be Brandon Staley. If Brandon Staley doesn't get the job done, it's definitely on Kyle. Because Kyle just keeps running the same thing. If he's open to change, then that's good. But he's not. In reality, he's not. He just likes to stick with that same defense. And it's just kind of a little bit outdated a little bit. We're having trouble on third down. We're having trouble with the wide 9 at times. We're not quite a heavy blitz team. We don't even, our coverage can be a little unpredictable. We don't do stuff the right way on defense like we used to. Like maybe the previous season when we had Steve Wilkes, before we even got to Nick Sorensen, the defense was pretty good, but it wasn't as top unit with Saleh and D'Amico, but still, we went way down under Sorensen because of inexperience and plus the fact that he just didn't have a clue how to run a fucking defense. But I digress. I just think this is definitely on Kyle going into the next year. If he doesn't get to the playoffs, I think he's pretty much on the hot seat. There's no question about it. So this would probably be the last scapegoat. It would be Brandon Staley. If he hires Brandon Staley and he gives you that 2020 Rams defense to San Francisco, then Kyle would be brilliant. But let's be honest. Let's see how it plays out. But I say, let's embrace Brandon Staley. He's just going to have to fix what we have, and we're going to have to bring certain players that fit the system. So if you're going to run his type of defense, it's going to probably be a little bit of a 3-4 defense. You can still do a wide 9, but you're going to need a outside linebacker and other stuff. The coverage and all that. Third down defense, he's going to blitz a little bit more. So you're going to have to adjust to that. And if you trust this guy, let him do his thing. That's all I ask. But let me know what y'all think, man. I just think that Staley's going to be our next DC for sure. It's leaning towards it, and Saleh's just going to go to Jacksonville from the looks of it. Prove me wrong otherwise.